sips. We got to learn to do things in smaller portions.
Hi, Anna.
I know. I have to figure out how do I change my name?
I think the only way I know is to go out and start over. And then when it comes up to choose,
Nope, actually rename.
oh, that's there. What do? Right click it or up top?
If you go to participants,
Yeah.
then
Oh,
you
I
can click
see
on
it. Yeah.
yourself.
I see it.
So, all right, very good. Let's see, done. All right, close. All right. I apparently my
We are we're being recorded right now, just so you know. So
no worries.
Okay.
Yeah, my apparently my Surface is dead, beyond dead, like dead. So I'm zooming from my phone tonight, so we'll see how this works.
Oh, interesting.
I know.
I'm not a big fan of the phone because you can't see everybody.
No.
You can only see a few faces, or if you put it on speaker mode, or
Yeah, we're not going to. It's fine. It is what it is. I was working with Concord today, and because I run the cemetery minutes of the cemetery meeting for the highway division, and so I got to learn how they do their hybrid, because they are moving their, when we get back to the point of doing a hybrid meeting, and it's not that different. I think the thing that makes it more complicated for Maynard is that we stream it also through WAVM.
Mhm.
But it was interesting. I was like, okay, this is how it goes.
Did they have like one live broadcast at the meeting room? Is that how like we did that one night?
Yeah, they did. It's basically you treat that one camera, that one, and basically I think it's what happens with ours is they treat that, that one computer camera setup as almost a participant.
Yep. Right.
And then you can actually control the meeting from another computer, but you have that's set up that can see over everybody else.
I don't know what the schools do something where when people they have to get approved to come into the meeting to start, and then everybody is muted unless they're released from mute by whoever's controlling the meeting. And
right, so you have to like do the raise hand function and things like yes, because I was under the impression for a long time, and it's just because I hadn't participated a lot with the school meetings, but I was actually under the impression that you really couldn't speak. But I was talking to Mary Branley, and she said that's not true. She said it's more that you just have to do the raise hand or something. So
or somehow let them know that you have a comment. And like public comments, I've heard them read as opposed to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So. So how is your short week going?
Very difficult. It is. I mean, we started yesterday, right? Yep, back yesterday. Yeah, it's just been. I'm already looking forward to Friday night. Just a chance to.
Yeah, I feel like that's the issue. I feel like there's, for some reason it's harder. Shorter weeks are hard. Like every single time, shorter weeks are hard. There's so much to catch up on.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'll be out of the office for most of the day. And so, and that's always difficult. That's like a vacation day, even though it's not, you come back to the. So.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a way for me to, no, cancel. All right. I was going to see if there's a way I can see other people. Oh, look there. I can see some people.
I think you can go into a mode where there's 4 people or something on your phone.
Yeah, I think I have to turn it sideways. Right now, I just see you. So probably like the speaker thing, but that's fine. I will adjust as necessary. And then I'll get my computer fixed. I mean, it was funny because I was looking at it and it's actually Jason Creel's Surface. So
Oh.
it's probably a little old.
Yeah, he was on, yeah, I think that, this is the thing, I don't use this for anything other than, and I
Yeah.
have it on the side, and I only use it for these meetings.
Yeah.
I have nothing else, nothing downloaded on it, nothing. It's like,
Yeah. Well, I don't have, and that's the thing is, so I don't have a webcam on my personal computer. So that's what I use the Surface for, is for, you know, for the Zoom meetings, but
yeah.
like, all right, whatever.
Good evening, Chris.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hi, Stephanie.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. It's a little breezy out here, so I'm muting. so
Well,
you don't
I
hear
think
all the cars
you're better off. I'm in heat. We don't have air conditioning in our downstairs. It's broken. So I'm in the heat.
Oh, good.
And there's no fans near me. They're all on the other side of the house. Can't hear you, Chris.
Hi, little girl.
I said I want to go outside and smoke a cigar, but I don't think anyone would like it. Armin might appreciate it, but
She's so cute, Megan. I can't stand it.
I'm handing her off in a minute, but
Oh,
complicated dance, as you know.
yes.
I don't know if she's allowed an executive session. We'll make sure.
No. Can't trust her.
Don't worry about that. We are all here, but so once we hit 6:30, we'll open the meeting and go into the executive session. Okay, it is 6:30. So I am going to call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. And I'll actually make a motion, but for those who are online that are wondering what's going on, we're going to go into an executive session for about a half an hour. We'll come back at 7 and have the public open meeting at that time. So we will be coming back. Just please don't be offended that we're moving into executive session. So I'm going to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, specifically related to NEPBA, public safety telecommunicators, as an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote is necessary. Justine,
Aye.
Chris,
yes.
Armand,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Please hit join and we'll see you in the other.
I'm back.
Good evening, everyone listening in. We are going to wait until the clock hits 7 o'clock on the, I guess on our phones or whatever, however they run that, the official 7 o'clock, and then we'll get started.
I can't seem to do it on the computer. Prefer to.
Okay, time being 7 o'clock, I'm going to call this meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Maynard Select Board, excuse me, to order. And as a preliminary matter, this is David Gavin, Chair of the Maynard Select Board, and permit me to confirm that all of the members of the board and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Chris,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Justine,
Yes.
Armand,
Yes.
and staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. And these are the people that I expect to speak. Greg,
Yes.
Chief Stowers,
Yes.
Stephanie Duggan,
Yes,
Megan Zamuto,
Yes.
and I don't know if Chief Noble is on. line or not. Becky?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good evening. This open meeting of the Select Board is being conducted via Zoom. And we'll all be participating remotely. And we will allow for the public to provide comment via Zoom. And there's the chief. Chief, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. The board would like to hear public comments, and if there is further action that is required by the board, I'll ask that the matter as appropriate to be added to a forthcoming agenda. Depending on the comment, we may, if we're able, within the confines of the open meeting law, respond with information as opposed to needing to deliberate on the matter. Now, this meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless it's otherwise required by law. So we'll do our best, but if you have technical problems, we apologize. The agenda posted on the town's website identifies how you may join. Please note that the meeting is now being recorded and that some attendees, or all of us, are participating by video conference. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer, as anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All the materials for this meeting, except for executive session materials, are available on board docs, and I recommend the members of the public follow the agenda as posted on board docs unless I direct you otherwise. Turning to the first item on the agenda, but before I do, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I'm going to introduce each speaker on the agenda, and after they conclude their remarks, I'll go down the line of members, inviting everybody to provide comment, questions, or motions. Since everybody's participating via Zoom, please remember to mute your phone or your computer when you're not speaking to avoid background noise, and speak clearly in a way that helps us to generate accurate minutes. And for any response, please wait until the floor is yielded to you, and actually also please state your name before speaking. And if our members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, let's do so carefully to identify ourselves if it's not apparent who's speaking. There are some items that might have public comment tonight, and so after members have spoken, I'll afford public the opportunity as follows. I'll ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify themselves by their names and addresses, and I'll call on each of you and afford a maximum of 3 minutes for any comments. And for any public hearings, only if you're here, we can't accept anything in writing on public hearings. So actually, before we begin our official agenda, I'm going to start our meeting in somewhat of an unconventional way and just make a brief comment that over the last several weeks, actually, our town has been devastated to the core by a number of tragedies and lots of heartache. Just within the last few days alone, we've lost 2 members of our community. And tonight, the Select Board and our entire town administration wishes to extend our heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of Greg Sherrigan and Ronan Janot, both of whom we lost so suddenly just in the last week. And so while it may be unconventional in a Zoom environment, I would like to ask that you join me in taking a brief moment of silence in remembrance of Greg and Ronan, as well as for their friends and families, and also for our entire extended community. And our thoughts and our prayers are with everyone who is in mourning. Thank you. So before we go to public comments this evening, I've asked Chief Stowers to join us to give us a factual update on what has transpired since late in the afternoon last Thursday, when, as you know, we had a tragic fire in town that resulted in a loss of life. There's been a lot of concern expressed and a lot of rumors around town that sometimes aren't helpful to all of us. So I asked the chief to join us this evening to give us an overview of what has happened, where we are today, and what is expected over the next few days. So Chief, I'll turn it over to you, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Selectmen. First and foremost, I want to send out my condolences on behalf of the Maynard Fire Department to Mr. Sherrigan's family. It's a terrible tragedy. So I'll just talk a little bit about the event that we had. The event that we had on Park Street was caused by a gas leak, and gas migrated into the crawl space of Mr. Sherrigan's home. It built up there, it looks like over a period of a number of days. And when Mr. Sherrigan went to investigate, he created a spark and caused an explosion of the gas that built up and subsequent fire. Mr. Sherrigan's home wasn't the only one that had gas in it, although it was the only one that obviously we had that type of issue with. We found relatively high readings in a number of homes in the neighborhood. The investigators from our department, District 14, the State Fire Marshal's Office, and the State Police all concluded that it was gas that was migrated in from the street. The Department of Public Utilities agrees with that. Yesterday, they ran some tests to make sure that it wasn't just the service coming into the home. It actually did occur in the street. I want to just talk about that for a minute so people understand that our situation is tragic, and I'm not trying to downplay that at all, and I don't want people to think I am. But I've heard comparisons to what happened over in Merrimack Valley and Lawrence and Andover, North Andover. And while we certainly had a tragic outcome, the cause was a little different. Ours was caused by a leak, and theirs was caused by an overpressurization of the system. Now, the outcomes are the same, but the reason I bring that up is because the leak was confined to that area as opposed to the entire town of Maynard, which could have happened if it was an overpressurization situation. I've met with Eversource officials pretty much constantly since Thursday afternoon. Eversource, to their credit, was out there relatively soon, as was the members of the Department of Public Utilities from the Commonwealth. They're actively working to replace pipe on Park Street and Sherman Street, somewhere between 150 and 200 feet of pipe. They hope to have that completed by Friday or Saturday, depending on tomorrow's weather. And if not, then early next week. In addition, they're continuing to conduct townwide surveys to make sure that there are no other leaks, or if there are leaks, they're addressed in a timely manner. They did find two today. One was on Concord Street and another one was on Powder Mill Road, and they are addressing those. The Department of Public Utilities has directed Eversource, along with every other community or Eversource, not only in Maynard, but in all communities across the state, to make sure that they fix all grade 1 and 2 leaks. And they are staying on top of it to make sure they do that. The Department of Public Utilities is continuing to investigate this particular incident. And in doing so, they're going to be requesting a lot of records through Eversource. Part of it is to ensure that they take care of any other leaks that we have in the community. Just to give you an idea, there's 3 classifications of leaks. A grade 1 leak is a serious leak that is considered an existing or probable hazard to people and or buildings. A grade 2 is considered non-hazardous at the time of detection, but serious enough that it needs addressing in the near future. And a grade 3 leak is one that is not considered hazardous to persons or property at the time of detection and can reasonably expected to remain non-hazardous. So anytime there's a grade 1 leak, it needs to be addressed immediately. A grade 2 leak is a little bit more serious, and those are expected to be done or completed within a year of them being notified or them determining that it's a grade 2 leak. Again, Eversource is continuing to work throughout the community to ensure that, there are no leaks, and if there are, they are being taken care of. Part of that process will be a long-term effort to replace all gas meters that are inside homes. That's not just here in Maynard. That's a statewide initiative that came down after the problems they had over in the Merrimack Valley. We are going to continue to encourage people, if you smell natural gas or anything out of the ordinary, please call us. That's what we're here for. We'll come out and investigate, and if we find out there's a problem, we will get Eversource out there to deal with it. I can't stress that enough. Please, if you smell something, give us a call. Currently, again, we're working well with Eversource. They've been very good to work with. They've been pretty open about what they're doing, and we don't feel there's any increased risk to public safety. That's not to say that we couldn't have another leak tomorrow or anything like that, but based on what they've done, the work they've done on Park Street and the work that they're doing in the community right now, we don't feel that there's any increased risk of a problem. That's pretty much all I have to say on it. And I guess if the chair wishes, I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Yeah, Chief, what I don't want to have is individual like issues about particular households or whatever. I think you had indicated that you would open your email address or whatever as the conduit, because that way the information gets directly to you and will get directly to Eversource. As we found with a few people who had some issues, when you spoke with Eversource, they addressed it immediately. So yeah, I'd prefer not to have people give us their own personal story, but rather share that with you so that that you can address it. And also, if you feel more comfortable sending it along to town hall will send it along to the chief. But it's very, very important. The other issue is, I know that we learned that, and Chief, you mentioned this, that at least one of the leaks that we've learned of came through a social media site that instead of folks calling the police or the fire department when they smelled gas after this incident, chose to put it on social media. And it just so happened, we were lucky that it was being monitored and somebody observed it and contacted the fire department, which was able to address it. And it did turn out to be a leak that needed to be addressed. So please, please, please don't use social media as our avenue of telling people about your issues, but get directly to the source of the police and fire department, 911 if it's a critical issue, so that we can get them addressed. But the next aspect of the meeting is public comments. So I do invite anybody who has any specific comments to make to please do so. But again, not specific stories about your own home and how you'd smelled gas for 3 weeks, because that would be something to tell the chief about outside of this meeting. Sure, go right ahead.
We've got a public comment. Chief, can you let us know if we know or if we're working towards a root cause for what caused the street leak in the first place?
They haven't discussed that, and I don't know that that's part of the investigation. Leaks do happen from time to time. I know that we've had a lot of rain this year, and I don't know if that contributed to anything happening underground. I don't know that there's a specific action or anything that caused this particular leak. They do happen from time to time. Once I get the report, and if there's anything in there on that, I will certainly make that public, but I don't know that there's a specific thing that they're looking at that caused this leak.
So is this just a result of degradation of the pipes?
It could be. It could be. They haven't said anything either way. And to be fair, I haven't asked them. So once they're all done,
are you referring to Eversource or are you referring to them as Eversource or the State Fire Marshal's Department?
No, Eversource and or the Department of Public Utilities.
And the Department of Public Utility is running an investigation now.
That's correct.
Okay.
And if that's in the report, I'll certainly make that public. I haven't asked that specifically, because at this point, I just want it repaired. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Addressing the current risks is priority, but knowing what the root cause of this and asking that question explicitly should be done, and not answered by Eversource, but by a public utility such as the State Fire Marshal's office.
Well, it wouldn't be the State Fire Marshal's office, it's through the Department of Public Utilities. They're the ones that are overseeing pipeline safety, and they are going to be issuing a report. It might take a couple of weeks, even a month for that to come out, but they want to make sure that they get it right, and I'm sure they might even address that in there.
Very good. And then I have another question. Do we have any reason to believe that some of the other leaks that were reported were linked to this one, that or was this leak just contained to that one neighborhood?
So this particular leak was contained to that one neighborhood. We did get calls for a couple of other leaks, one on Thompson Street and one on Chandler Street, that were not related to this.
And those were grade 3 leaks, or what grade were those?
Those were grade 2 leaks, but they were taken care of that day.
Okay. And last question, did we have any previous indication or reporting of leaks in the neighborhood of the incident prior to the explosion?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe we responded out there for anything. I don't know if anything was reported to Eversource, but I don't believe anything was reported to us.
Okay, thank you.
Any other members of the board with questions? It is our intention, if necessary, to have Eversource representatives come to the board to give us a status update, but we want to give an opportunity for the report to be issued so that we understand what's going on and see if there is and are still ongoing questions that we need answered going forward. Any member of the public have any questions or comments on this or any other issue? Jillian, I see your hand. I apologize if I miss you because I can't see every screen, but you popped up. I guess maybe it does when the hand goes up. So
thanks. I did want to point out to the committee.
Jillian, just for the record, can you state your name and your home address?
Sure. Jillian Prendergast, 20 Park Street.
Go right ahead.
So I did want to state for the record that on Burnside Street, which is adjacent to Sherman Street, and it's sort of parallel to Park Street, there was a very severe gas leak there a few years ago where they had to replace the entire gas main and I think all the meters to the houses as well. But that's something you might want to be aware of. That is in the same neighborhood. It's very close by. And that's my concern living at 20 Park Street, is that they're replacing the gas main to a certain point on Park Street, and then they're not going to replace the entirety of Park Street. So, you know, I don't want to be the weak point in the chain. So, and I know you don't want to talk about individual houses. So
no, I think that you should, and I know you have sent an email to Town Hall, and we make sure that that gets along to the chief so the chief can address those issues with Eversource when he's having his meetings.
Thank you.
Chief, can you confirm that a history of repairs for the last, I don't know what the appropriate number of years is part of the Department of Public Utilities investigation?
I don't know. It's depending upon what the investigator wants. He can make that determination. He might say 3 years, 5 years, I don't know. I didn't ask him specifically, but I know that he is going to be asking for specific records. And I think a lot of it will have to do with requests and repairs, but I don't know what his timeline is. I can certainly reach out and ask him.
Please do, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from the public? Liberty, I see your hand raised.
I didn't know how to do the little hand icon, so thanks for seeing me. Liberty Pilsch, my husband and I live at 26 Park Street. My question is, what would be suggested if, say that you can't smell anything. Maybe you had COVID, maybe you were born that way. Are there things that you can purchase for your household that will alert you to the presence of gas?
Yeah, there is. Actually, I had somebody send me some things today. Another resident had asked that same question. And I sent her a couple of links, but if you send me an email, I will certainly forward that to you. And I will actually, tomorrow, see if we can get those links put on our website.
Yeah, thank you.
Good question. Anybody else? Again, I'm not seeing everybody necessarily. I don't see any electronic hands raised. I don't see any physical hands raised. One last point, Chief, and Chief Noble as well. Thank you to your men and women on your staff and your team during this event, especially to those who were injured and transported during and after. We're very, very thankful, as always, to the service that your staff and team provide to us in public safety. So thank you very much. And please extend gratitude to the members. All right. No other comments. We will move on to the acceptance of minutes from August 17th. Is there a motion?
Sure. Move to accept and approve the meeting minutes of August 17th, 2021 as shown, and authorize the use of digital signatures if approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, it has to be roll call. Jeff,
Yes.
Justine,
Yes.
Armand,
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.
And I am a yes. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 5 is correspondences. Is there a motion to accept correspondence?
I'll move to accept and approve of correspondences A through K as shown.
Second.
Any comments or questions about any of the correspondence on the list?
Yeah, I got a question in regards to the golf course. So every time I see the report, I always see that comment about the roof leak. Is there anything, and I know Justin's on the line, is there any kind of update about what's happening there? I mean, this one, it went into details, and I know now they have functions also booked for the rest of the year. So it must be a little challenging putting buckets and, around the area. So any updates on what's happening with the roof?
Yeah, I could speak to that. Justin Marco, DPW Director. So Armin, the roof at the golf course clubhouse is beyond repair. We've identified it as a capital improvement project, and the select board is actually either approved or is about to approve an article for reallocation of funding from the revenue source that the Sterling Golf Management provides to the town to address the roof issue. As of right now, we are in the 75% design phase for the roof replacement. Once that is 100%, we plan on putting it out to bid based off of the confirmation from special town meeting that the funds have been reallocated to address that issue.
Thank you.
Any other comments about correspondence?
I'd just like to, I have to say that I was extremely disappointed to see the second notice of failure to comply regarding the Maynard Housing Authority. I realized that I'm a little frustrated because I realized that technically we don't have control over that organization. However, it feels like it's something in our town and it's a responsibility. And I'm just extremely disappointed, and I'm hoping that something happens soon. So we do not have to go through the scarier things that they reference in that letter, basically taking back the property, et cetera.
Just
Putting the receipt of that.
reached out to Bill Crenshaw and I saw that as well and asked for an explanation or to be copied on the response to HUD. I haven't heard any response from him yet, but I share your frustration.
I agree. Greg, on the point that both Jeff and Justine are making, what are our options with that particular item, if we have any options? Because it's been
that's a good
going on
question.
for a while.
No, that's a good question. I don't know right now, so I will find out. That's a good question.
I know Greg has at least attempted to reach Bob Larkin, who's the executive director, for some discussion on it.
Yep.
Could you find out, Greg, for our next meeting, what the what the length of terms and when the terms expire of the people elected to that board?
Okay.
And are any of those positions appointed or are they elected?
All elected, I think.
All elected?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember what the bylaws are, but I know there is elected positions, but I don't know if there may be a liaison from another committee, but I'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? We will vote to approve or accept correspondence. Chris?
Yes.
Jeff? Jeff?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
No worries.
Justine?
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Thank you. The consent agenda, we move on. Number 6, there are
A through D.
A through D.
Yep.
Any questions or comments on the, well, I guess any questions or comments on the consent agenda before we make a motion? I think the majority of these, if not all of them, are routine stuff.
I have one question about the consent agenda.
Yes, sir.
It has to do with the Pro Park. Is Northeast Eagles Baseball a Maynard group?
My understanding is that that's the group that they may have changed names, but it's the same group that
Stowe
Mike used to, huh?
With Stowe and us, right?
No,
No, it's not.
it's not.
Oh,
Go ahead, Chief.
I know my son plays with the Northeast Eagles. It's
Okay.
based out of Hudson in the batter's box. In Hudson is where it's based out of.
But there are Maynard kids on the teams.
Yeah, several Maynard kids, and includes the region, yes.
All right, and the other question I have, and I don't know if anybody on this call has any answer. Do we know, is there a fee attached to use Crow Park? Number one, and if not, I don't understand, and I'm not asking for a fee, I'm not looking for a fee, but I know from some emails I received and calls I received from other parents throughout town that there are Maynard groups that use other town outdoor facilities that are being charged by the schools to use those facilities. So if we're not charging the Northeast Eagles, who's predominantly a non-Maynard group, why are we charging other groups to use like resources within town? I'm just trying to find out, how one person or any persons decide who we charge and who we don't charge to use school properties.
And that's even a debate over whose property it is, but
I know that too, but in general terms, if we have a baseball field, a soccer field, and a football field, are we charging for 1, 2, 3, or none? And if we're charging for 1, why aren't we charging for 3? And if that whole thing gets into equity for the people using the different fields. And
I don't disagree. I think that's a valid point.
I'm not looking to stir it up or prevent anybody from using the fields as they are now, but if we're charging Group A and we're not charging Group B and C, why are we charging Group A? And that's my only question.
And to your point, Chris, I mean, it takes, a certain amount of money to upkeep the field. So obviously we got to pay for that. Yeah.
I will say though, I believe in the past, and I'm not 100% sure, but I believe in the past that Mike Chambers' group has contributed some to the upkeep of Crow Park.
Yeah, they did. And I thought that was the group that Mike
Is that still
Chambers
going
used
on,
to.
Justin? Do you know?
Mike Chambers runs the Babe Ruth out of there. This is triple
So
play.
it's two
Northeast
separate,
Eagles trip. It's
Mike
two,
Chambers and someone else? Two separate groups?
two separate groups, yes.
All right.
And I thought they were the same. So thanks for the clarification.
I'm thinking that the reason that there's no charge for this is because this is something that we approve as select board, as opposed to the fields that are actually more firmly controlled by the school, as far as, again, there's still that question of school property versus town property that we have not gotten back to. I know Justin had a whole plan that, I think we'll probably revisit at some point, for rules and regulations of all the fields and how to reserve them and what to do and try to get everybody on the same page. But I think historically for the select board side, we have not charged, it could be something to look into, but we have not charged for Coolidge or Crow or Veterans Memorial Park or, and those are the ones that we have control over. The schools have control over the other ones. And that's where their, the charging is coming in, I think.
Yes, that's my understanding as well, just to back you up on that. But
Yeah.
everything, all of your memories are correct. And it is a topic that has been brought up by Justin DeMarco in the past. You look at the rules and regulations for all fields and parks and facilities and tied into the relationship with the school department and their authority over the same, not all the same, but so, especially those properties, especially Crow Park, that happens to be, the perspective is not wrong. It looks like it's a school field, but it happens to be town. So it's something that needs to be untangled, if you will. But I understand the point also, Chris, about being fair and equitable in our fees and fines, our permitting system. I agree. So we will look at all those good questions.
Okay, thanks.
Good point. All right, any further comments on it? Chris?
Nope.
We're looking, no, I'm looking for the vote now.
Yeah.
Yeah, did we move?
Did we move it?
We move.
Okay,
Yeah.
then is there a move to approve the consent agenda?
Go ahead, Jeff.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda items A through D as shown and authorize use of digital signatures if approved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor, Chris,
Yes, sir.
Jeff,
Yes.
Justine,
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
I am a yes as well. Okay, item number 7 is a special event or commentary relative to the public safety issue that we had on Cindy Lane that now seems like an eternity ago, which was only now, I guess, 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago now. But given circumstances, it just seems like it was a heck of a long time ago. But despite that, we wanted to give an opportunity for the town and the board to recognize the officers and public safety folks that were involved in that program, or in that event rather. So Chief, why don't you say a few words about what transpired, what you can tell us about the event itself and the officers involved, and what went down, so the town can have a little understanding. And then I've got a special little thing for those that were involved as well.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. On August 21st, in the early morning hours, approximately 2:23 a.m., dispatch had received several calls of an active shooting that had been occurring on Cindy and Abbott. The dispatcher, Alicia Luther, with calm demeanor, dispatched officers and called for medical support from the fire department without delay. During the chaotic time, dispatcher Luther was also tasked with several other duties while being the lone dispatcher at the time, as you can imagine, at 2:30 a.m. These duties included notifying surrounding towns and agencies for mutual aid, calling in additional support, notifying the chief, myself, and retrieving vital information for officers on scene. including license plate and other information. Dispatcher Luther also documented the complete timeline and record of the incident as it unfolded. One of the things that I wanted to, in her letter of recognition, is dispatchers sometimes are that forgotten part of public safety. The only time you remember them is when there's a mistake or there's something that goes wrong. I didn't want this incident to be one of those times because the way she handled, again, this is a 2:30 incident, not something normal for Maynard. Triple shooting. In my career, I don't ever remember a triple shooting. The only shootings I responded to have been suicides, and she handled it with calm poise. So I wanted her to be recognized for her commitment and professionalism during this critical incident. As for the officers on scene, again, you got to remember this is not something that is occurring in Maynard. And like I said, in my career time in 28 years. The officers received that. All three officers responded to the scene. And as you can imagine, it was a chaotic scene. Upwards of 100 or more people fleeing the scene on foot, by car, yelling and screaming. They didn't know exactly where the shooter was. They didn't know exactly how many shooters there were. They responded to the scene and made sure the scene was safe. But at the scene, they found 3 victims. Well, after assessing that the shooter and hearing from people, they immediately went to critical care of those victims of the shooter, there were 3, 2 14-year-old females and an 18-year-old male. They were rendered aid. Whether or not they saved lives is debatable, but there's no question that they assuredly lessened the severity of the victims' injuries with their actions. After that, and after fire, and they were transported, immediately they began the investigation of the scene. Again, chaotic scene. This was not something where they knew the participants. Almost, all the people were from other communities, mostly cities and areas where it'd be more commonplace for this type of incident. But they weren't as forthcoming as you would can imagine, during this incident. The way they handle themselves, they should be commended for their calm professional actions during a highly stressful, violent incident, which is, again, mostly foreign to our town.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you to the officers. Go ahead.
I apologize. I forgot to mention that would be the officers on scene was Sergeant Michael Sutherland, who on the way there gave detailed instructions to Dispatcher Luther on what to do with the fire, having them stage so they were out of harm's way until they could make the scene safe, but had them prepared, had mutual aid from surrounding towns called to get them there because they knew that type of situation would need additional officers. They knew there wouldn't be enough. Officer Eric Duvall and Officer Joseph Morahan.
I think, are all the officers on the call tonight? I see Officer Sutherland rather.
Sergeant Sutherland's on, Dispatcher Luther's on. Officer Duvall was also involved in the explosion, and he'll get a separate thing for that, but
yeah,
he's been excused for that. I did not expect him to come on tonight.
Excellent. And would you be able to use the dispatch issue for training in the future? Is it that type of do you do that? As
they do after action reviews and that type for the incident. They do that almost every emergency call for the fire. Again, the dispatch supervisor reviews that incident with the dispatch and goes over what could be done better, could be done worse. We also do the same thing.
Yeah.
We're going to have an after action on that and an after action on the other critical incidents that happen in town.
Well, thank you all for not only this incident, which I can only imagine, as Chief said, 2 o'clock in the morning or 2:30 in the morning. quiet, what was it, a Saturday night, and suddenly the proverbial heck breaks loose. And congratulations on your professionalism and the way that it was handled, and the investigation that was swiftly entered into, and at least there's been a suspect arrested. And we'll see, what goes on with the law process from that point forward. But the board was very pleased. Obviously, we want to recognize the entire department and the officers that were involved. And I'm going to read to you a letter that is going out that says, on behalf of the select board and the townspeople of Maynard, thank you for your professional response to the occurrence on August 21st, 2021 at Cindy Lane and Abbott Road. This correspondence is in gratitude for your handling of the event and is a small gesture of how greatly we value you as our town employees and your public service to our community. Your work in reaction to the events on August 21st is indicative of your steadfast dedication to supporting our families and neighbors, the general public, and each other. Your selfless response to the emergency on Cindy Lane reminds us how fortunate we are to have you as members of the team that is part of what makes Maynard such a special place to live. And it's signed by the entire Board of Selectmen, or the Select Board, and we thank you for your wonderful service and your work, especially on that particular evening.
One last thing, Mr. Chair, is after that night, the investigation that unfolded to an officer on the department, everybody contributed to that investigation. As you can imagine, we weren't investigating in Maynard. We were having to go to other towns, to the hospitals, to this. And every officer, even though we're short-staffed, came in off duty and assisted with that investigation. We don't have a department where we can give it to the detective bureau and have that all work on it. Officers, had to put on the general hat, where they had to switch from patrol ops to investigator. They did an excellent job working hand in hand with the state police on this. And it was a surprising result to get that arrest as quick as we did. But it was the exceptional work of the officers here in the state police.
Thank you again. Any comments from the board members?
Oh, just thank you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, clearly a stressful situation, and one where, time saves lives. And it's good to know, we hear you talk about the training a lot, Chief, but to see it in action is a comforting feeling. And it just reminds us that we don't exist in Maynard in a vacuum too. So appreciate the hard work of your entire department.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks again to Dispatcher Luther and to Officer Sutherland, and we appreciate you.
Sutherland. You demoted him.
Oh, I'm sorry. So anyway, now I'm all confused. So anyway, thank you.
Busted him, Mike.
I'll mute myself.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, we'll move on to item 8, which is appointments. We have an appointment to the Board of Appeals. Brad Schultz. Is Mr. Schultz online?
He was
There
earlier.
you are. Thank you, sir, for joining us this evening.
Hi, how are you? I figured out how to make it work.
So you are interested in joining our Board of Appeals. And so I would ask you to give us a little bit of introduction about yourself and why you are interested in joining the Board of Appeals, and just a little bit about, so the board understands who you are.
Okay. I've lived in Maynard, or I purchased a house in Maynard in 1998. I lived in the area since 1983. I've moved, lived in Concord and Sudbury and other towns around, but I always seem to come back here to Maynard, and I'm currently living here in Maynard again. And I have rental properties. One of them that I'm actually living in right now here in Maynard. And I had a construction business that I'm trying to, where I was building houses And then it turned into doing renovations and additions, things like that. And I'm trying to retire now. And so I'm now down to trying to do just handyman services and snow plowing and things like that to enjoy it. But so far I've not been very successful in my retirement. So I have time now, I hope, to start getting more involved with the community, which is what I'd like to give back to. And I think that the Board of Appeals is really right down the alley of the kind of work that I've been doing. I mean, I'm familiar with zoning ordinances and setbacks, and I've been in front of several other towns' zoning boards before to get special permits and variances. So I know what it's like being on the other side. So it's sort of a welcome, to me, it's a welcome change to finally be on the side of having people come and request, for me. So I think it would be a good fit for me, and I'm looking forward to serving my community.
Very nice. Does any member of the board have any questions?
I can't think of a better qualified person to serve on the Board of Appeals. Sounds like your background is a perfect fit.
Thank you.
I do appreciate the detail with which you filled out the questionnaire that we have for these, which is the reason I don't have any further questions. I do feel I have a good understanding of your background and a little bit about how you think. So I appreciate that.
Okay.
Justine or Chris?
No, I feel the same way.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve Brad Schultz to the Board of Appeals with the term to expire June 30th, 2023, authorizing use of digital signatures if approved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, Chris De Silva,
Yes.
Jeff Swanberg,
Yes.
Justine St. John,
Yes.
Armin Fakirian,
Yes.
and David Gavin is a yes as well. So thank you. Congratulations, Brad. I look
Congratulations.
forward to
Thank you very
working with
much.
you.
Great.
By the way, you skipped 8 and 9 items.
I was wondering, I just went back through.
Oh,
the
I thought it was only me losing my mind, Armin.
I'm looking at an old version, I
You
guess.
are, and you're the one that put the agenda together. That's
Yeah, well, that's why I got the original one that I printed out originally. So I'm sorry. So all right, I'll go back to, hold on, I got to go online now.
It's an application.
We're just so excited about Brad, and that's what happened. You skipped.
No, that's okay. Hold on.
Thanks
No, I
for
can't.
putting me forward in the agenda.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't make it unofficial. Oh, hold on. I apologize.
Well, you're looking, I'll read the motion to save time. How's that?
There you
Yes,
go.
please do.
Move to approve the application from First Connections for the Assabet River Rail Trail for the installation of a story walk on the section of Winter Street to White's Pond from October 8th through the 18th, 2021, in accordance with all federal, state, and local public health and safety guidelines, and to use authorizing the use of digital signatures if approved.
Second.
All right. Do we have somebody from that event?
Hi, I'm
Oh, hi, Ellie.
hi, my name's Ellie Springer. I'm from First Connections. I also live in Maynard on Fairfield Street. So I'm here if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them.
What is the story walk?
So a story walk is basically where you cut up a book and take all the pages and paste them on boards, and then you post them along a trail, and families can walk along the trail and read the story.
What's the story gonna be?
The story is fry bread. And so we're doing this in partnership with the Maynard Anti-Racism Alliance for the Indigenous Peoples Day celebration. So it's about Indigenous people in the US, and fry bread is a traditional food that they cook.
Okay, what is the age appropriate? Is there any age, or is it, is a 3 or 4 year old going to enjoy it in terms of illustration, that type of thing?
Yes, so our program, First Connections, is funded by the State Department of Early Education and Care. So our focus is children birth through age 8.
Okay.
So yeah, it's,
Great.
you know, young preschool and early elementary.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm confused because you did C first.
Yeah, he did C, yeah.
Who did C?
You did
You
C.
did. It was supposed to be A.
You skipped A and B.
Am I missing a page? Oh, I'm missing a page.
Yeah, so that's okay. So
Who put this together?
So we now just need you made the motion, it
Right.
was seconded, we had a question. Any other questions about the river, the river walk,
Story walk.
story walk?
It is along the river.
Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Chris,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Justine,
Yes.
Armand,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Good luck and thank you for
Very
the
much.
for
We
the
appreciate
program.
it.
Sounds like fun.
Now we'll go back and Stacy and Hannah must be thinking that we are just totally missing them, which is not the case, but thank you both for being here. And why don't you now take the opportunity to tell us a little bit about what your project is, what you're going to be doing on Saturday, and you know, what we can all do to help.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So I'm Hannah Peters and I'm with my mom, Stacy Peters. We live at 17 Old Marlborough Road. And I am Maynard's 2021 Project 351 ambassador. Each year, ambassadors are invited to unite, act, and lead for a year of service and leadership in their community. Project 351 is an organization that unites 8th graders from every town in Massachusetts through acts of service and gratitude. As an annual tradition, Project 351 ambassadors lead a unifying tribute service to honor and remember the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, while in partnership with the Massachusetts Military Heroes Fund. The Massachusetts Military Heroes Fund, also known as MMHF, is a wonderful program that helps bring comfort to local soldiers deployed abroad, veterans experiencing homelessness, and families of 9/11 and of Massachusetts fallen heroes lost because of military combat since 2001. So for my 9/11 tribute service, I have been assigned to honor 11 people that lived in or were from Massachusetts and were lost on or due to the events of September 11th, 2001. I chose to commemorate the fallen heroes by creating a painted rock memorial garden. So we are asking to place the rocks at Memorial Park and have a ceremony on Saturday, September 11th at 8:30 a.m. At the ceremony, we will have introductions until 8:46 when we will participate in the National Moment of Silence. And then after that, I will read the 11 names of fallen heroes I was assigned, followed by the public being invited to offer additional names to be remembered. Members of Girl Scout Troop 78055 will assist with the placing of memorial stones. And after that, we'll have Selectman Gavin and possibly other elected officials share their thoughts. Finally, we're going to close with a poem and then thank everyone for coming.
That's wonderful. Now, Hannah, did you say you were in 8th grade?
9th grade.
Ninth grade.
Yeah, now 9th grade.
Okay, so you're a brand new 9th grader, and I must say, you are mature beyond your age and did a wonderful job in introducing that. So congratulations to your parents for raising you, because that's quite a presentation and quite an effort that you've done to to bring this all together the way that you have. Do any members of the board have any comments or questions?
Well, she made our job easy.
Yeah. thank you for doing this for the community. We don't have a September 11th remembrance ceremony, so this will be wonderful to have, especially on the 20th anniversary. And, you know, for your generation that has really, you know, you see it as a piece of our history, whereas those of us who lived it, you know, it's really impressive too, and thankful that your generation remembers. So, so is there a motion?
Sure. Move to approve the use of Memorial Park War Memorial Area in support of a September 11th, 2021 memorial starting at 8:00 a.m. in accordance with all federal, state, and local public health and safety guidelines, and authorizing the use of digital signatures if approved.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? All those in favor, Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Good luck. And I know that it's been out on Facebook, and public, you know, publicity efforts are out there. I hope that there's a good crowd of people to go down and memorialize that morning. So thank you.
Thank you so
Good luck.
much.
Can't wait to
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go to letter B under number 8, which is the Green Meadow School Field for the 150th. And I see that Jen Piccarelli is here, so I assume that that's why. Jen, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you need? You're on mute.
I know.
Lindsay,
Sorry, it's a new one. So we are looking to partner with the Maynard Fest people to do at the end of the night of Maynard Fest to be able to do fireworks. So we went and we got the approval of, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. We got the approval. What I did first to make it quicker was talk to the fire chief, talk to the police chief, talk to all the entities just to make sure that everybody was on board with it and that would be okay, and to get the location. And so we went through all that and sent everything to you guys. So we're just looking for the approval from the select board to allow us to go forward and have fireworks at 8:30 at night on Saturday, October 2nd after Maynard Fest.
Is this the, I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is that typically where the fireworks are shot off from when we've done fireworks displays in the past?
No, we already, yeah, I try to help Jen on trying to get Millen, Maine, and Greg was trying to help, but they didn't allow us to do it. That's normally where it's done.
So I guess my main question is, with having the solar array, obviously, that we've all been talking about over the past few months, can we give permission for this, or should it be in conjunction with the school committee that would give permission for this?
So Justine, just to clarify, sorry, I should have preempted that. So to start out with, I went to the school board, I went to Brian Haas, I went to Justin because I knew that there was a concern about the Fowler Field, because initially we wanted to use it on the Fowler Field. And it was great to get everybody involved because the other concern was, I knew that we had used Crow Park before, but I know that that was a big concern with residents, and we don't want to upset anybody by having this. It's meant to be, you know, a great event and a happy event. And we don't want to make any issues with anybody. So I talked to the company who we've used before, explained the situation, explained that the last show, you know, it was very close to homes, and I guess it caused some disturbance. So he looked at other options. Fowler I thought would be great because it's in the center and there's less houses around that area, and it gave viewing areas from both Crow Park, the Green Meadow backfield, and Alumni Field, which I thought would be ideal. But I understand that setting them off there could scorch the field a little bit, and that word in the field, they didn't like that. I understand. So yeah, so we decided to go with the Green Meadow, the backfield, where the football practices can sometimes be held. I think it might even be a soccer field. Sometimes they use it for practices there. I'm not sure. So they're going to centralize it back there. The viewing area could be at Crow Park. And I'm waiting to hear back from the owner. He was actually going to see if maybe Alumni Field, if they could be viewed from there, but he had to check the height of the trees and how far they had grown since then. And in even better news, thanks to Armand, who is fantastic, we ended up getting in connection with Green Star Herbals and Tom Morey, who has offered to fund the entire event for us. Which is
Isn't that
great.
wonderful? I think though that Justine's question was actually around our authority to approve that particular piece of property.
Yeah, so I asked the same question, and that's a good point. And Becky and I talked about that just to make sure. So one, obviously, maybe it's not obvious. So Crow Park is under the authority of the select board, so that's why that part's in there. But I did ask the same question. I was informed the school committee and the superintendent's office had already given their consent. However, it is part of the same license. So you are kind of requesting the license, like this committee is requesting a license similar to an entertainment license, but not obviously not exactly the same. And one is reliant on the other. Like they wanted to use Crow Park and they want to use this field. So it is in a way you're approving the whole scheme as one. But you're right. I mean, it does fall under the school committee for the use of their property.
I just wanted to make sure that, and I do, I did see that that Lindsay did say that that the school committee that it's been deemed safe and acceptable. I just hadn't heard that yet. So I just want to make sure again that we're not stepping on any toes.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Can somebody from town staff just speak to the safety concerns?
Is either Chief Noble's on, but is Fire Chief, or Justin DeMarco, I think one of somebody. Well, I know, Justin, you had some concerns, but you were really just echoing what Chief Stowers had said. So, but it doesn't. What are you thinking?
So, I'm not going to speak with Chief Stowers, but what it is, they're explosive devices. If they're left unattended, there is consequences that could potentially happen. So securing the site is probably the utmost safety importance on both chiefs' radar. And I just want to echo that sentiment based on the public works perspective, as that site is not monitored. It does not have cameras, does not have fencing, does not have overhead lighting. It is not utilized that often. So that is an unsecure site that's not monitored regularly. So just making sure that whoever the vendor is well aware of their priorities when it comes to drop off and securing that site.
Chief Noble.
They are required to have a detail there. Once the stuff gets there, they're going to have somebody there. So there will be, and they have to have required fencing and a certain distance from the buildings that I know that it was all measured out and that site can be used. But
has that been standard for when, like, we use other areas where the police have always had to have a presence, or the fire department has had to have a presence, et cetera?
Every time we've had fireworks, it's the fire that falls under the jurisdiction of the fire. There has to be the fire department there. They hire a detail to stay with the
from the time it arrives to the time it's over.
Yes.
Yep.
And then probably little time after, that it has to be fenced out, certain distances and that.
And then on a similar vein, to Jeff's question, which was about the safety aspect, I think there's also some comments that Justin had made about cleanup afterwards, not only on the area where the fireworks go off, but also where people are watching from if they're on public property, that we assure that there is a way to make sure that that's all cleaned up. But from what we've seen from this organization that's going through with the parade and with the sesquicentennial stuff, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
And if it makes you feel, if you guys feel any better about it, this company is American Thunder Fireworks. They have done the last, I don't know how many shows, I want to say at least 5. So they come highly recommended, and they've worked with our police and with our fire department prior with no issues as far as.
Can I add, just David, to address concerns about cleanup? Our committee will go on Sunday and make sure that the viewing space is clean up. We did that after the drive-in movie, so we'll make sure that whatever's left behind gets cleaned up.
I'm certain that you will, because it's, like I say, everything's gone wonderfully. Any other comments? If not, let's make a motion in second and get it moving. Is there a motion?
Yeah,
I'll-
I'll go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead, Armin.
I'll move to approve the use of Green Meadow backfield property for the activities related to the fireworks display for the 150th parade and Maynard Fest on Saturday, October the 2nd, 2021. And Crow Park, yes, for viewing with the entertainment starting at early evening in accordance with all the federal and state and local public authorities, health and safety guidelines, authorized use of digital signature if approved.
Is there a second? Okay, Jeff has the second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Looking forward to
Oh,
that.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys,
Thank
and
you.
Larman again for your help.
You're welcome.
All right. We're now to item number 9, which is the alcoholic beverages license for the 110 Grill, which is there a representative on from 110? I can't see anybody.
I don't see anyone either.
If there isn't anybody, I said that I would speak on their behalf.
Please do, Becky.
I hope you don't mind.
No.
The HR manager for 110 Grill actually is out of state. They're opening a new facility. So she asked if I wouldn't mind if no one could show up. So all the paperwork was turned in. They have a new manager that is ready, willing to start at the Maynard facility. So looks good.
And we have all of the material that we need for the changing of it. This is very routine stuff. It's really just the changing of the individual rather than it, it's not an ownership issue. It's just a manager issue.
Yeah.
Any
it's
questions?
like responsible for the license. so
Yeah.
to speak. Yeah.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the application for liquor license change of manager for 110 Grill, Non-Digital Way, Maynard, Mass. to Andrew Shepherd, authorizing the use of digital signatures if approved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
I am a yes as well. I'm going to skip number 10 because I think we already did it. And we'll move on to number 11, which is the 115 Main Street Development Agreement with McDonald's Development Incorporated. Long process to get to where we want it to be right from the start, which is good. And so Greg or Megan or Bill, I think Bill Nemser might still be on. If you want to give us a little bit of the highlights and what we can expect. I think everybody's had an opportunity to read the development agreement, which looks like it really focuses on that, the whatever you call it, the plaza next to the river. Promenade. So whoever wants to take it from the town side, feel free to give us the highlights.
Can I first say that I am going to give this to Megan and or Bill. But I do want to commend them both, as well as the rest of the town staff, OMS in general, Justin DeMarco, everybody who's had, and it's been a lot of people who've had a part in all this. Town council, of course, very much involved. And so I'm very proud of all the diligence and dedication they've put into this. It's been a lot, as you all are very familiar with. It's been a long time coming. And so I'm really proud of the result. I'm excited about the project. Everyone on town staff especially is excited about the project, as well as the community as a whole. So I'm glad we've gotten to this point, to echo your point, David. So Megan, good job and take it away.
Thank you. Well, as you saw earlier in the agenda under correspondence, this project 115 Main Street was approved for a special permit by the planning board on August 12th. And the planning board has reviewed this development agreement and endorsed it at their most recent meeting. So this development agreement has been a long time coming. It was worked on by an excellent team made up of Armand and Chris from this board, and also Bill Cranshaw and Greg Tizzulo from the planning board, and obviously a number of staff and council. But we worked on this for years, and it was a very collaborative effort, especially towards the end. Our council worked closely with McDonald's Developments Council and helped draft this document that everyone really felt comfortable with. Some of the highlights really are that this agreement outlines some of the community benefits that this project will bring, including affordable housing units to our downtown, a riverfront promenade, and a brand new beautiful building in our cultural district. So we're thrilled that we're moving forward with this, and we've had a good relationship working on this document with McDonald Development. And I think at this point, all parties involved are comfortable with the document that we've brought before you tonight.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or comments? Anybody?
Nothing more than to echo what was already said, that just my hats off to all the town staff and to the planning board for working on this. It's been a long time coming, as David Gavin mentioned. So I appreciate all the hard work and dedication that you've put in.
Yeah, and this is like the start of what I hope is a long trail of connecting us back to the river. And having access for people to be able to not only view, but really, have, take advantage of a natural resource that we have in town that for 150 years, probably since we're celebrating our sesquicentennial, has had backs of buildings to it. We're finally having an opportunity to open it up to take advantage of it, and that's great, and that's our vision, and that's part of the part of the master plan that we want to try to make sure we have factored into these decisions. So good job, everybody. I'm really happy about that. Not only about how it will also enhance downtown when people start living in those apartments and start using our downtown area for the restaurants and for whatever might come in the future. So good work, everyone.
Yeah, well said, David. I mean, that's a gateway to the downtown area, so it's going to be a real showcase, place for people to able to enjoy and at the same time live in it.
So, anybody have a motion?
Yep, I'll move to approve the development agreement for 115 Main Street with the McDonald Development Incorporated as approved August 24, 2021 by the planning board.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Onward, as my friend Kate Hogan says.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
You know what, I'm going to go out of order intentionally this time because I think it will make the meeting more efficient if we go and just approve the collective bargaining agreement that we discussed in executive session, because that's a quick hit, and then we've got a couple of things to talk about on the special town meeting article. So that way, anybody who's here for that issue can see it approved and leave if they so choose. So if we can, with the board's indulgence, let's move to number 13 and the approval of the collective bargaining agreement.
All right, move to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the NEPBA Public Safety Telecommunicators for a term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, and authorizing the use of digital signatures if approved.
Second.
Okay, the motion's made and seconded. We did have a discussion in executive session, but just for public information, for those who aren't fully versed on it, this is for our dispatching union. It's a very small union. They worked well with town staff and came to an agreement on the issues in front of them. And we are pleased with the outcome. And we're hopeful that this will encourage our staff to continue to work hard with Maynard and as we move forward. So Greg, do you have anything to add to that, or Stephanie?
I want to, of course, publicly commend Stephanie for all her work, as well as the hard work from Justine Stewart, who I think is joining us on the call. She was one of the two stewards from the union that was very cooperative, very professional, always came very well prepared to the negotiating table. So thank you so much. It made me and Stephanie's lives a lot easier having them on the other side. So good work, Stephanie. Good work, Justine. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I wanted to shout out to Justine as well. I think she just popped off, but
no, she's still on.
Oh, there she is. She was wonderful. We miss her. She's one of the dispatchers that has recently left us, and we hope all is well in her new career. And thank you so much for advocating on the behalf of the union so well, knowing that you were leaving and it wasn't probably going to affect you. So I have to commend you for that. You were terrific to work with, you and Erica as well. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Justine. We heard good things about you in the negotiations and about the whole team with, and of course, earlier this evening, we heard one of your coworkers, and the work that she did with the events in Maynard. So thank you very much, and good luck in your new career.
Thank you.
So the motion was already made. So is there? We'll go right to the vote. Chris.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Justine.
Yes.
Armand.
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. So we are through that. Now we'll go back to the special town meeting articles that we have to discuss, and there are a number of them, most of which, if not all, well, most of which are zoning articles. We do have the two publicly presented articles, and then we have the budget adjustments that we're going to have as well. So why don't we start with the zoning ones and just get a rundown if anybody has any questions on the zoning articles. And Greg, should we approve these one at a time, or can we do the zoning articles as a group, or how do you want us to?
It's up to you, Mr. Chair. So you can do this, maybe you want to group them zoning if you feel comfortable and the board would like to vote all those together, and then you can do the budget, and then.
Yeah, let's hear from, Bill might be able to give us a brief background, if you're willing. You walked away.
No, I'm right.
On any questions, I'll just throw it out to the board. Are there any questions on the zoning articles that are before us? And maybe, Bill, why don't you give us a little background on each one? We'll start with the parking space article, which is draft control G.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, we don't have to go too far into them because you covered it in the last article quite a bit. This is activation of the downtown. This is utilization of our downtown overlay district zoning. We're learning lessons from what has been proposed, what has been approved. And each of these actually reflects something that has happened in the downtown overlay district, which in the last couple of years, I know it's been slow, but we're getting there. So the parking space requirements, this started with the memorialization of parking ratios and standards in the zoning bylaws before the downtown overlay district was implemented. And of course, the idea of the downtown overlay district is we're trying to reduce some level of automobile dependency. Well, it's fine. When you have a 2-bedroom unit, it makes sense to have maybe 2 parking spaces dedicated, and maybe even a 1-bedroom, you can need 2 parking spaces. Well, we had it to 1.5 in certain circumstances and so on. But we're doing things with studio apartments. We're doing a lot of 1-bedrooms and even 2-bedrooms, really. And we've just found that we're not looking to create the sea of asphalt. We're looking to create a pragmatic balance of our parking as opposed to the type of housing that we're creating. And I think that's, in my opinion, that's a very good thing. It's a indicator that our downtown overlay district is doing what we intended it to do. And you pointed out something earlier, David, in that we are creating a lifestyle downtown that at one time did exist way back, but now is coming back. And ideally, these are support systems for our downtown businesses. And so with the parking, there particular size tweaks, the dimensional tweaks are strictly to match what we have as more or less national and standards within the Commonwealth. I'm very fortunate in the planning board to have experts in this department. And so we went from, for example, 9.5 feet of width to 9 feet, just kind of why not meet the standards and make it simplify the whole process. The loading areas is really interesting because this is truly something that is, well, we can all appreciate it since the COVID lockdown, but Amazon or UPS, whatever, food deliveries I should not leave out, and probably in our case, marijuana deliveries even. But vehicles are coming to homes more and more. You have that with a multifamily unit, and it's that many more vehicle stops. We had parking and loading zones, which are the traditional sort of requirement for these sort of properties. But so now what we've done is we've made a short-term delivery zone as a requirement. And I am, honestly, I think the planning board has really made some good calls with this. And I would love to say that it's me, but this board is very astute with what's going on. And then the last issue that we wanted to address, and it's really kind of interesting, in kind of a quirk in our zoning bylaws that I honestly have not figured out a way to totally fix, but we have an optional downtown overlay district. What that means is that if somebody is bringing in a proposal to the town in our downtown overlay district, they have the option to select whether they're going to utilize the downtown overlay district as a regulatory framework or the central business district as their framework. I personally am not wild about that. And I think this is something we will look at in the future, but that is the way it is for the moment. However, our special permit criteria alludes to the downtown overlay district. Our thought was that any project that is requesting a special permit in the downtown overlay district should meet the most stringent requirements. And we have been doing that, and we've never had a problem with it. This is simply codifying it. And that's the reason for the special permit, the clarification that all special permits within the downtown overlay district must meet the downtown overlay district criteria for a special permit, which is a little bit of a heavier lift than it would be in some other locations. And happy to answer any questions. And if I can be of clarify anything or help, I'm here.
Well, thank you. Do any members of the board have any questions? Seeing, go ahead, Justine.
Sorry, I just have a couple of questions. The first, as far as the parking space requirement, as far as the amount of parking spaces, I understand what the planning board is trying to do here. I was just wanted to make sure, is there a way to do some kind of survey to know that this is something that, you know, is relevant and can work at a town our size that is away from, you know, public transit and things like that? I mean, I know we do have a little bit of public transit, but we're still kind of on the outskirts. So I just want to make sure that we're not unnecessarily pushing vehicles that couldn't park at the apartment or at the multifamily somewhere else in town.
That's a great question, Justine, and I'm happy that you have been reading some of the.
Are you drinking wine? What are you doing?
Yeah,
I thought that was my phone.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're breaking up a little bit, Bill.
Yeah, no, so yeah, the idea is that at one point, you have to establish a cap for parking. The town has parking regulations for all our publicly owned spots. And if a developer following our recommendations and a model feels that X amount of parking spaces are adequate for their project, and for whatever reason, one apartment had more people and more cars than they thought, does the town want to go ahead and commit to minimizing that mistake by having a sea of asphalt? And we haven't had a problem so far. The parking authority is going to be really a terrific, I think they're going to be a terrific resource. But in my opinion, the planning board retains the ability to adjust parking on a case-by-case basis by special permit. And I think looking at the circumstances, they've been pretty on the mark with what they have required, or have really reviewed. In our conversations with the police department and town staff that deal with this sort of thing, we've had no parking issues to date that I'm aware of. Nothing has been brought to my attention. And believe me, plenty of things are brought to my attention that are wrong. But downtown parking, I honestly, in terms of number of spaces, I haven't had any problem at all. And I think we're in position, should some person in a 2-bedroom want 5 parking spaces, well, then, all right, that's not, I don't know that it's in the town's best interest to designate that somebody could conceivably come in a 2-bedroom apartment and request or require 5 spaces. And it's the town's obligation to meet that.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the answer.
Anything else? All right, so let's group the zoning articles together for one motion, and that would be draft control G, H, I, and J. So I will entertain a motion to approve. The language should be, what are we doing? Just accepting and approving? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, and forwarding to the finance committee. And that's.
I think the finance committee already voted on
They did,
these.
but the finance committee already has.
Yeah, so you're right. So besides this one, you're right.
So
No need
Go.
to move to the finance committee.
Well, do we have to do it to cover ourselves procedurally?
No, because they did already see these, so you've already kind of technically forwarded them to them. I don't mind if it's not harmful at all if you include it in the motion to cover it, but technically they have already seen them. It's the obligation of the select board to submit articles to the finance committee. We've already done that.
We've already done that.
The motion, it just reflects the obligation for the executive branch to send it to them.
And the age question that we have every year is by voting, if we move to accept and approve, are we then endorsing the articles? And that may not be important for these articles, but it may be important for other articles when we use that language. So is it just to accept and then and move along to the finance committee and under normal circumstances, or is it just, can the language just be to accept? And because we're obligated to accept as Jeff and I had that discussion in the parking lot, we're obligated to accept articles from multi-member boards and certainly from the planning board. So we don't have a choice to accept or to necessarily approve unless we choose to approve.
Yeah, so I guess to me they're very similar. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but just for my clarification to a degree of my understanding of it, it just is, they're almost synonymous, accept and approve, because in this case, I am submitting, or town staff, the planning board, submitting these articles for the inclusion on the warrant.
Correct.
How you vote on day of a meeting is a separate action. So this is a inclusion on the warrant, accept, approve. We could have used one or the other in a way. So
yep. Okay. All right. So whoever wants to make a motion, please do. Or I will make the motion to accept and approve the articles. The draft controls G, H, I, and J.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Are we happy with the language on the motion?
Excuse me?
Greg, are we good with that language on the motion?
That's fine, because it'll be recorded in the minutes as that. The titles will be there.
All right. So all those in favor, Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. All right, we'll move on to, let's do the budget one first, Greg. The budget fund.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Mr. Chair, this one is, and I apologize for more confusion. So this is a revision for the current fiscal year budget that we're in, and this is a further revision. So I apologize for kind of making it more complicated as the weeks have progressed. But your town accountant did her due diligence and is continuing to refine this, and was, and then as well as the town clerk notified myself and Lori, the town accountant, that we have an obligation to submit mailings to those residents and those town voters that have not been active in elections or census or other sort of actions in the past number of years. And so the law requires the town clerk's office to seek their attention. And so that comes with the cost of postage to send out mailings to all those inactive voters, if you will. And it's not cheap. There's over 1,500 inactive voters in the last number of years. And so town clerk's office has to send out a lot of stamps. So we needed to revise the budget to reflect that obligation. And so we feel comfortable with reducing the amount we were going to request for appropriation for general liability insurance, which had a number of $40,000 assigned to it. Take that down to $37,000 so that we can give another $3,000 to the town clerk's office. So that is described in much better wording than I just said it in the public comment, in the sponsor comment section of the article. But You won't see it in the article itself above the special, above the sponsor comments, because it's not a change to the general government line. But it would be reflected in the appendix. So town meeting warrants include the appendix, and then you would see the breakdown between departments there.
So the bottom line is the numbers that we're seeing on this article are the same numbers we've seen previously. It's just how you're making the sausage is changing inside where those numbers are going.
Yep.
Accurate?
Yes. Yes. It's a little bit of, it's bureaucracy. Like it's, we have to abide by law, and it costs money, and right.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions from the board? Hearing none. Is there a motion?
So this one you do have to forward to the finance committee, by the way.
Okay,
Because
I'll move to accept and approve and move to the finance committee for review and comments, draft control M for the special town meeting, October 16th, 2021.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? All in favor, Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Armand?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
All right, thank you.
Although I have no problem with the motion, but I thought finance committee approved that one too, because they even heard those amendments, I thought.
They heard other amendments. So
okay.
Yeah, because we had to change the debt exclusion number as well. So I'm scheduled to see them on Monday.
Okay. All right, and the other two controls that we have on here are the two citizens petitions that have been, we had a lengthy presentation from the group on both of their articles. They're presented, that they presented to us probably a month ago. And their articles were presented to the clerk with the appropriate signatures and are now coming to us to be added to the warrant. So the purpose of our approval tonight is to make sure that they are added to the warrant. And if the board wants to have a discussion about our opinion on it, relative to, does the board endorse, that's a different discussion than just moving it along. Because tonight we can just move it along without any further discussion. And whatever the choice of the board members might be. Board of Health, by the way, has voted not to recommend the polystyrene article, namely because they are concerned about, my understanding is, and I can be corrected if I see Ari and Green's on, so if you want to correct me on what their rationale was. My understanding is that they were concerned about enforcement of that. There was also some concern from the schools that some of the meals that are presently produced in Maynard might be in violation of this bylaw, and they wouldn't be able to give out meals at the schools if certain meals are produced in the school building, because they come in those types of polystyrene containers. And so for that reason, the Board of Health did not vote in favor of approval of the polystyrene article, but the other one I believe they voted to endorse.
If I may just say, their reservation about the polystyrene was that they did not have the staff to police it. And I am pleased to see they have just gotten staff. So we're hoping that makes a difference.
Yeah, okay.
And we have not yet been able to speak to anybody at the schools who can tell us if what they're using now meets the standards. I was in the school today, but the woman in the cafeteria had left. I'm seeing her, I hope, tomorrow. The Fresh Picks is just simply not responding. But I want to say there is a year in which people can bring their service up to snuff. So it's not as if we would shut them down tomorrow.
Yeah. I give you a lot of credit for the effort and the work that you're putting into, making sure that things are checked out. It's commendable.
Thank you.
Sometimes these citizens petitions don't get that type of diligence. Any comments or questions from the board on those items? Otherwise, we can move to approve and move it along to the warrant.
I mean, I would entertain the concept of endorsing in addition to moving to the warrant if the rest of the board would as well.
Whatever the board's desire. Personally, I would say let's just move it along to the town meeting and let town meeting have the discussion. And if town meeting asks each individual board member for our opinion at the meeting, we can certainly respond.
That's what with me.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I will move to accept and move to the Finance Committee for review and comments pending draft control P and Q for the special town meeting October 16th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Armand?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yes.
Next on the agenda, number 14, is the board statement on our anti-racism statement that we had asked Jeff to work on a draft. And at our goals meeting, we had that discussion about the presentation and how it should go out. And we now have the final document, and it is here for discussion.
So just initially, I just want to thank Justine and Chief Noble and Caroline Mahiti from the Human Relations Committee, who all offered input since the last time this document was seen by the board, and their comments have been incorporated into the statement you see before you, which is, I believe, substantially the same message, but maybe worded a bit more clearly from the one that you saw a month or two ago.
Yeah, the only question I had is I was under the impression that we came to some kind of conclusion at our goal setting session that we're not going to be using the word police officers in there. So I was under the impression that that was going to be taken out, but it looks like it hasn't been taken out. So that's the only thing that I was just questioning whether or not we should put that sentence should change.
So I did send the draft to Chief Noble, and he made a few comments, certainly about that sentence, and I did remove the word police from a later section of the document, and then I reworded and restructured that sentence to make it abundantly clear that we were talking about a national incident that did not reflect upon the Maynard Police Department. And indeed, within the sentence, it connects it to say that the conversations that are being held nationally are not simply on policing, but are rather a broader spectrum of issues that we all need to be aware of and work together to respond to.
So looking at that sentence, wouldn't it make more sense to say they were sparked by high-profile national incidents and not have to mention the police officers in that sentence? I mean, would be better to say they were sparked by high-profile national incidents, and we go on with the rest of the sentence, which makes a lot of sense by not having to mention police officers.
If the board wishes to, it's our statement, and so if we as a group wish to, I don't see the harm of acknowledging what is a fact, that they were killings by police officers. But if you guys feel there's a very specific harm to even having the word police in that sentence, then that's up to us as a board.
I don't know what everybody else feels. And the other thing is that, again, I had mentioned at that session, is that I don't see the mention in here about there is also incidents, and when it comes to anti-Jewish, sentiments. So I don't see anything in there regarding that.
Again, I tried to keep it fairly generic instead of getting into details. The one spot where Chris acknowledged I did call out Black, Hispanic, Asian, and Indigenous was because that came from a specific report released about the communities in the Boston metropolitan area. And that's the reason why there's specific races are called out in that part of the statement. But
the Jewish attacks also happened in metropolitan areas.
So
Right.
actually, I have a suggestion. Sorry, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Please.
I know that I had actually asked a question back, and I know Jeff, you and I went back and forth with the second paragraph from the end where it says, we also acknowledge that racism is often connected to a person's gender, age, sexuality, class, or ability, and that our policies should account for those relations. Would it make sense to add religion to that part of it?
That's a good
Would
thing.
that help?
All right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be fine.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good.
My observations are, first off, I think the large majority, if not all of it, is excellent, and nobody can dispute any of the comments.
Yeah.
I agree with the focus on police as being something that I think that from our statement, from ourselves, I would prefer that the police issue not be there, because I think although there have been a number of police-related incidents that have generated huge amounts of national attention, I think that there are a number of other issues that did not include police that also sparked some of this. Now, granted, the George Floyd thing that really ignited things a year and a half ago was police involvement, but I think we all agree that institutional racism that exists goes beyond police. And that's where I just don't like focusing in on the police aspect. And that's my thought.
I agree with David and Armand on that. And to David's point, if there was a sentence in there where it says police and that was taken out and even called out the Floyd incident by name, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But to generalize it as a police officer issue, to me, is unfair to the police.
Well,
And it suggests that we all believe, that we as a board feel a certain way about it. And I disagree with that, and I agree with David's stance that, statement that a lot of these issues preceded those incidents and have continued absent the police since.
Well, I disagree with that characterization that indicates that sentence indicates that it's an anti-police document in any way, shape, or form. But if the board is not comfortable with it, those specific words can be removed.
Can you say that again?
I believe somebody, I'm not sure if it was you or David, suggested that by having it in, it suggests that that it is an anti-police statement.
I don't think that it suggests anti-police. I just think it's that there are other aspects of racism and institutionalized racism that go beyond policing.
I believe that is very clearly spelled out in the second phrase of that exact sentence, not even, not to mention the rest of the document. So I don't think we lose a lot by taking it out. I also don't think it's harmful to put it in. I think it's just an acknowledgement of where the national conversation is. And I believe the second phrase of the sentence directly addresses the concerns that you've mentioned. But again, if we as a board wish to take out that specific word because there's a polarization just around even the use of the word police, then that's the decision.
Yeah, I would prefer language that says similar to what Armand suggested. They were sparked by high-profile national events or high-profile national killings, even, but because that's truth. And that is, they were sparked by high-profile national events, including the killing of Black men and women. But these atrocities occurred on a foundation of centuries of decisions. Just take out by police officers.
I would agree.
So,
I also want to, okay, very good. Yep, no, never mind. Please continue.
I would
no,
also,
make your, Jeff, say,
No, it was a separate issue that we had already addressed. It's fine.
okay.
in having that discussion that we just had, I do want to say thank you, Jeff, to you and everyone that worked on it. And I know Caroline Mahidi from the, from our other board, the other board that I am the liaison to, the Mainland Human Relations Committee. I appreciate it, and it's a great document. It's
Yes.
And I'd like this one, once we get it finalized, should be signed by the entire board, as opposed to that other one that was just signed by the chair. The entire board should sign on to this.
fine.
So assuming we agree that we can change it to read, they were sparked by high-profile national events or high-profile, how do we read it? Yeah, high-profile national events.
You mean
Unless
you're gonna
somebody
use
else
the
has.
word killing of black men and women? I think you're.
I'm okay with that. As sad as that sounds, I'm okay with that language.
I do think it sounds sad because I do think nobody's going to not understand what we're talking about, but it looks like we're hiding and just even.
You're right. Yeah.
No, you got to leave that in there.
So I'm just trying to figure out what the language is to make it work.
I think to your point, David, by just striking out that one by police officers, everything else could probably stay and add national events.
They were sparked by high-profile killings of black men and women, but these atrocities occurred.
Perfect. Justine has something to say.
Well, no, I mean, I understand that, and
we go
but
back.
I think you do have to do more of it has to be on the national. I understand everybody is going to know what we're talking about, but at the same time, just saying they're sparked by high-profile killings of black men and women, it feels like something's missing. I'm not necessarily saying that it should be by police officers, but I'm just saying that I feel like that. I just feel like that probably, if we're going to take that out, that maybe we can take the time to wordsmith it a little bit more.
I can't remember the exact wording, so I'd like to see, maybe we could go back to the beginning of Armin's comments, because I think Armin's language change that he suggested at the very beginning of this conversation was the one that I would prefer the most, just because of the way he worded it. And the exact wording escapes me, but if we could maybe, look at the beginning of Armin's comments about that and what his language change was, I think that was an appropriate change.
Did you write it down, Armin?
I did, but I said they were sparked by high-profile national incidents. You said events. So I think events sounds better than incidents.
What if you say they were sparked at the national level?
At the national level, okay.
By high-profile killings of black men and women.
If you guys feel comfortable leaving that in, I think we should. I think to Jeff's point, we need to make sure that that's in there, because.
So they were sparked at the national level by high-profile killings of black men and women, but these atrocities. So the only thing that's taken out is by police officers. And it's made clear at the outset that they were talking about national incidents.
Right. So you're adding the national at the national level.
They were sparked at the national level by high-profile killings of black men and women, but these atrocities occurred on a foundation of centuries of decisions. Yeah. Does that make sense, Chris?
It does to me.
Everybody good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Did we get it so that we can get it be edited properly?
Yeah, so I got 3 changes. We're going to add in, they were sparked at the national level by, we're going to omit the words by police officers, and we're going to add in the second to last paragraph,
Religion.
or religious beliefs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. So with those amendments, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the anti-racism statement with amendments. Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Do we add to, well, the signatures on it can be with by stamp, but we want all the signatures on the letter. It's from the board. That's the clear.
So authorize use of digital signatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would helpful. Yep.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
All right. Chris,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Justine,
Yes.
Armand,
Yes,
and I am a yes. Good work, Jeff. Thank you.
yes, yes, Jeff.
The goals discussion. We had, for public understanding, we had a goals meeting that was held back, I don't even know when it was, August.
It was July 22nd.
July. It's July, where we prepared ourselves for our goals for this coming year, which are now produced and I assume have they been put up on the website yet? Because we haven't approved them?
No, just board docs.
They're just part of our agenda. Is the only place that you'd actually be able to see them right now.
Yeah.
And the highlights of them are the key points are the master plan implementation committee. We have some infrastructure goals relative to supporting the increase of public awareness of the conditions of our infrastructure. Anti-racism, which we just finished part of that goal with our letter approval. 63 Summer Street, art space in Maynard, and the future of the building and how we're going to address it. Our relationship with the school committee, and thank you, Natasha, for being online with us tonight again. And we are working to get our 5-on-5 going, meeting with the school committee. We'll see where we get. I spoke to Brian on Monday night, and I spoke to Greg yesterday, and I spoke to Natasha today, and I spoke with Lydia via text yesterday. So hopefully we'll be able to pick a date. Really, the for the board's knowledge, the delay on that is based upon a seeming desire by the chair of the school committee to have a more structured agenda than what the board of the select board is desirous of. Where we wanted to just sort of have a discussion about the future of our town and how we each can work on it. I think there's some sort of, we'll get through it and we'll have a meeting. That's the bottom line. A next high level topic is budget analysis, then branding and marketing of Maynard, public services, discussion on Naylor Court and the future of Naylor Court, community preservation issues, sustainability, and the Powder Mill stretch, which probably a good time to mention the fact that the co-op has found another location that is going to work for them over on Victory Plaza, which for us and our goal to be, again, they have a 20-year lease from what I understand, for our goal to redevelop that stretch. It fits right in. It's perfect. I'm very happy for them and very happy for how it works. And who knows, maybe they'll be able to do something with the property area there and allow access to the river behind there too. So anyway.
Do you know if they, not to interrupt you, do you know if they're is Jam Time gone?
That's
No,
what I asked that to.
They're going to the property I understand that they're leasing is to the left of Jam Time.
Yeah, but that's not 6,000 square feet.
As big as your house garage.
There's not 6,000 square feet.
It's tiny.
I've been in there because I have young ones that have been to Jam Time.
Yeah.
Now it's been a couple years because that was the before times.
Right.
But I've seen it. It's narrow. It doesn't look big, fair, but it is long. So it's longer than jam time. It kind of makes an L shaped, so it goes down and then kind of makes an L, like on the backside along the river.
Oh,
But
so
is
there a place next to jam time on the left side there?
So yeah, if you're looking at jam time, it's to the left, but it is narrow. It is narrow.
Okay.
You should be
doesn't
a
look like-
limousine company in there. You only had room for 2 cars wide.
Yeah.
2 limos wide when he had the limousines, but that's,
Yeah.
good luck. I can't wait till they open.
Yeah.
Give my
So those are the highlighted issues on our goals. And so is there a motion to accept and approve our goals and move forward?
Sure. Move to approve the annual goals for FY22 as presented.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, Chris.
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Justine,
Yes.
Armand,
Yes.
and I also am a yes. The board policies, which has come up a number of times, and I'm just wondering if everybody wants to try to plow through some of them this evening, or perhaps go through part of it this evening, or not even address it this evening and put it on an agenda of itself.
I like that. I like the latter.
The last issue?
Yeah.
I'm okay with the last suggestion as well. It's a lot. I mean,
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. It's just a lot of conversation, I think.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of conversation, but
Okay, I'm okay with that. Jeff, any issues?
No, I was saying let's plow through and see how far we get. 1 hour. And
You're funny. You're good.
It's only 9, and
Yeah, but well, it is only 9, which makes me feel good, but this has been a very, very
That's good,
tiring
Jeff.
week.
it's only Wednesday.
Yeah, no kidding.
Long
and-
week already.
So, all right, let's schedule a meeting sometime in the near future that will be specifically for these policies, and it will be a 2-hour meeting dedicated just for that, and we will get through it.
Perfect.
Good idea.
All right.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll choose a date coming up that is available.
Got it.
Something closer to Christmas.
No, it won't be that.
No, I'm only kidding.
As long as we get them approved by the end of this fiscal year, so that boards going forward have guidelines to work with.
We've passed several Christmases already.
That's true.
Talking about it, so
All right, town administrators report.
You still got one of those.
Yeah, because I like taking the pictures
back.
Yeah, beautiful pictures.
The pictures. Thank you, Armin. So, of course, I always like to take more opportunities to compliment and commend the staff. So they are working quite hard. So I love it when they supply me great information for the TA report. So please, I encourage, of course, the board does, but the town and the general public to look at the TA report, see the good work that the staff and the departments are doing. A couple of things to highlight. I did put out the RFP for the golf course. So that'll be due in a couple of weeks. We'll be doing an on-site visit as well. Kind of a standard procurement procedure, but great conversation between myself, Justin DeMarco, and Chris Silva contributed so that we can make sure we have the best working relationship with whoever ends up being the new management after negotiating the contract with whoever submits for the proposal. So I look forward to that. I am also putting together a team to look at that old fire station that we hope to be moving out by hopefully summer. I mean everything is still on schedule, and I provided one of the most recent construction reports for the board. So if everything is on schedule, and I don't think we need that old fire station, I wanted to kind of get public input as to see like what might be of interest for the use of that property. So I am meeting this Friday, I believe, with a couple of individuals. I asked if they might be interested in helping me provide recommendations to the board and town meeting in general. So that's moving along. I also met, actually coincidentally today, with a number of surrounding town managers and town administrators to sort of gauge interest on a regionally shared sustainability coordinator position. So, and there was a lot of interest. A number of towns. I know you, the board here in Maynard, has been attending and participating with Pepperell's initiative for the climate change action. But that a similar sort of, not all the towns that I talked to today were aware of or invited to that action, to the climate change forum. But a lot of towns either already have a sustainability committee, or they have a green energy or energy and sustainability, like they all have different names. But they would love some staff support for that, and that's what I'm seeking. And I am also, of course, very much interested in whatever grant support we can get to fund that, at least initially. And so it was a good meeting today. A lot of, and I'm going to continue to research. There are a couple of towns, like the town of Acton, that my basement is in right now, that does have a sustainability office. And so I'm going to be looking to those towns as examples and guides to see what we can do here in Maynard. We have I want to see if there's anything else I want to highlight. Beautiful pictures from the Department of Public Works. They're very busy. And Megan Zumuto is extremely busy these days because she is wearing more hats than she normally wears, and she normally wears a lot of hats. But she is now your acting, well, will be your acting health agent, and filling in for our conservation agent. Although we are contracted with the VHB, who's our engineering firm, but they also do provide services like conservation support. So they are going to be providing that, but not every day of the week. So the rest of the time I have poor Megan answering all those inquiries that come her way. So be patient, and I'm sure everyone will be, but she's doing the best she can.
Are you done?
I think I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I got a question, and one of your photos I think is mislabeled.
That's my fault. It's my fault because I put together what.
Well, I'm looking, and you had written about Silver Hill Lane, and I'm like, that's not Silver Hill Lane.
Oh, and now I'm looking at Justin. Justin, is that water leak?
So
No, that's not a water.
That's
leak.
Maynard
Holy
Crossing.
crap.
I mean, that's Maynard Motors.
It's Maynard Motors.
So one is Maynard Motors, which is the flood, which was due to the torrential downpour, and the other one is Silver Hill Road, which is the dirt road. You're close. I will give Craig credit. I attached a bunch of pictures and then both.
And just said, figure out where this
yeah,
is.
no, that is my fault. Yeah, all right. I'm sorry, Justin. You're right.
No worries. I'll make sure it's more clearly defined.
Don't. Yeah, I should be better about reading the caption and making sure it's aligned with the right pictures, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, no, and I didn't realize, first off, I knew it had flooded because I knew we had shut the street down over there. But when you see that picture,
Yes.
you realize how bad it is, but beyond which, that's like right down the street from the explosion. It's
That's
like,
true.
It's just, how much can that neighborhood take? It's right down the street. So.
Just a quick clarification when it comes to the electric vehicle charging stations. Again, I'm just foggy on that. Are we getting 2 in every one of those locations? The town hall, library, and
golf course.
Yeah.
So it's 2 stations with 2 chargers.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's actually 4.
4. Okay.
So it's like 4 behind town hall, 4 behind the library, 4 at the golf course.
Okay.
I wish I had written down the suggestions of what those things were at the golf course before anyone knew what they really were. What they were gonna be, what was going in there, everything from fuel pumps to wash bays. I'm like, no, it's a charging station. Pretty interesting. All the experts.
Well, it kept them thinking.
Once they're completed, they'll have proper signage and lines. So once the installation is complete, they'll be highly visible.
And when is that? Do you know, do you have an idea of the estimated time when that's going to happen?
So just Eversource has been kind of inundated as of late, which they are actually doing the infrastructure work. So our anticipated completion date is within the next couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
You done, Greg?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Okay. No, seriously, if you have something else you want to add.
No, that was,
No, I could.
Yeah, any more pictures to share?
And then I realized that I presented the police officers with their letter before the board approved the letter. So I apologize for that. Because part of my, under the chairman's report, I was supposed to get approval for the letter that we're going to be reading to the
no,
the
Mr.
police.
Chair, I slipped in the letter this morning thinking it is better. Like, I think you did the right thing. I think grouping it with, like in accordance with the chief, and I think that was the way it should have gone.
All right. So I hope everybody is okay with that. And I think Justine had given her thoughts on the letter from what I understand. So thank you for chiming in on that. So that was good. And for the chairman's report, I just want to again comment on the community's response to these events of the last month is just incredible. And the fact that, a small town like ours that has been hit repeatedly like we have with these events, yet we're still supporting one another and pushing through and making it. And we will get there where, we'll heal as a community and probably be better for it. I do understand that there was another event related to the tragic death of the student tonight that was well received, well attended, and I gotta.
Oh,
David?
Oh, is the meeting over?
No, the clerk is in charge now.
Hey, Jeff.
All right, we're gonna go to board member reports. And we're gonna start with Chris.
Oh, yeah, I just have a couple things. One is to echo David's sentiments and the sentiments of so many other people tonight about the first responders and everything that we've seen from our people that work for us in town and represent us in the excellent response. But I think that thanks should also be given to the folks in town hall and the town hall staff, because it's not just the police and the fire, it's everybody else that contribute to the success of the follow-up and the investigations and everything else. And in particular, a huge thanks to Justin and the DPW, because those guys respond to every incident that the police and fire respond to as well, with whether it's putting up barriers or cleaning up or anything else. And this particularly the pictures that we just mentioned about the two roads that had flooded. Justin and his guys are out there, and I know that there's my phone upstairs rings at all sorts of crazy hours to get Craig up and out to pick up trees that have fallen because of high winds and flooding and everything else. And it's just not enough thanks to the DPW for the job that they do. So in addition to the police and fire, our DPW guys are first responders as well. And I just want to thank Justin for his contributions to all that stuff. And then the other thing, Greg, can you get us an update on where we're at with Art Space? Where that's all at these?
I will try. I've asked similar.
I'm not looking to, anything that's not ready for public and everything, obviously I'm not worried about, but just if this, I've had a lot of people asking me about, what's going on, and I say, I haven't heard any updates from, OMS or anything like that.
Actually, I'll just ask the OMS director, have we gotten a permit? That's a public document.
No, we have not received any, of the additional information that is required to issue a building permit. We have been in contact with them, with the with the board and with the executive director, but not recently. So I don't have anything new to report other than the, document that I shared, I think last month, where a portion of the building, significant portion of the building, had the occupancy revoked.
Right.
So that's where they stand right now. We haven't gotten anything new. We can definitely reach out to them, but we haven't received anything.
So are they did we close, or did they close themselves, or is it still open? Because I have not seen anybody in the building
We
on the.
closed,
Nation
yeah.
and Summer. Did they close it or did we?
We closed most of the building due to unsafe conditions, but one of the wings, so when you're looking at it to the left, I think it's the west wing, I'm not sure, that part of that is open right now. So there are some studios that are allowed to be occupied and some office space.
But I was asking about the building at the corner of Mason and Summer.
Oh.
The UFO displays. I don't see anybody in there lately. So I'm wondering if, does that have anything to do with us? Or is that on their own?
No.
No,
I mean,
it's not us. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That's a privately owned building. I don't know. I'm curious. I can ask if I
just haven't seen anybody in the building, so I didn't know if we had something to do with that closing down, or just because the other building's not operate, that isn't in operation either. But I'm not. And the only other thing is, can we do can we kind of see if we can't fast track the part of the discussion that we had very early on tonight about the how us in the schools are juggling approvals of different groups using different properties, so we can clarify once and for all, and either we do it in unison with the schools, or they do it, or we do it, or how we because it doesn't make sense to have two different bodies approving uses for the same pieces of property.
We can try. I am obviously, we are all and very much appreciative of the work that DPW, particularly Justin DeMarco, is doing. And he has already done a lot of legwork on that. And then obviously, with only so much time in the day, his attention is focused elsewhere. So it was focused for a long time on the solar project for a long time. It's focused on a number of other projects and initiatives.
Right.
But you're right. I think it's important to address it sooner than later.
Okay.
I see Natasha has her hand up.
She was just waving at us.
Hi, Chris. I didn't want to chime in earlier, but since you're bringing it up again, I just wanted to mention that the budget subcommittee convened recently and had recommended to the school department to consider forming a task force that accounted for all the stakeholders that use the fields, just to kind of provide some recommendations on schedules, all of those things that do seem to be coming up in pockets of conversations, but probably not in a more concise way. So there is a discussion that's happening at the subcommittee level from a budget perspective that we are also, because I think equity is certainly a concern, but also how do we ensure that money is going in to maintain the fields, all that. So I just wanted to just mention that is a discussion that is happening at that level.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Natasha, that's the school budget subcommittee, right?
Yes, it was on our last agenda for the school. Yes, we do have to. It was in the school budget subcommittee where Mary and I discussed this with Brian and Wayne. And actually, I think we did have one committee member, may have been Maynard Youth Soccer, because there's so many different stakeholders. And this might be a suggestion that we just compile a list of all, because I think there's Crow has certain people who use that. So that might be first one of the things. And I'm just hearing the discussion with you guys, like understanding who the stakeholders are probably is one piece, and that we can then formulate who do we, because making these agreements for one-on-one is probably not the best operating protocol, and in-kind agreements are not anything that I personally am a fan of as well, because they're not sustainable for function. But yes, I can certainly update at some point if that's as those conversations evolve.
I panicked for a second because I was at the budget subcommittee meeting and I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember this. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a school budget subcommittee. It was last week.
Okay.
Week. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks. That's it for me.
David, while you were
no, go right ahead. You control it. Go ahead.
All right. Did you finish up with anything from the chair report?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody, given that we approved the 9/11, September 11th thing for Saturday morning, that if anybody can make their way over there, it would be good to have board representation. That's it.
All right, Justine?
Thank you. I have a couple things. I'll definitely try to make that, David. I also want to echo everyone's speaking about the professionalism of, and the professionalism of the staff that works in Maynard, and also how great the community is when they need to come together. We hate that we have to come together like this, but sometimes it happens. I also want to, really commend the dispatchers. I know I'm singling them out a little bit, and it's because of my past history. I've been in a situation where it's a one person dispatch when something like that comes in, and it's not something that's easy, and a lot of times it's not recognized. So I appreciate that Chief Noble reached out to commend Dispatcher Luther, and I don't know who was dispatching for the Park Street, but I really appreciate all the hard work they did. They maintained their composure and they got the resources that they needed. I also just wanted to say real quick, I did go to the Board of Health meeting, and speaking to what Greg mentioned earlier about Megan wearing a lot of hats lately. Kelly Callow, who has been graciously helping us. She is a health agent for Hudson, and we have been working. She's been covering for Maynard through an agreement. She was unable to extend past, I believe it's the 13th of September, due to her commitments, partially which is going to be helping create a regional program that we had originally approved that we will also benefit from. But I do want to take a moment to thank Kelly for all of her hard work. She treats Maynard as her own, and she works really hard, and she's very dedicated, and I really appreciate the time and effort that she put into it. And I also want to commend Megan and Janelle, because I know that they are now doing the lion's share, or they will be doing the lion's share of this, as well as now conservation. And, we tend to stretch our staff as far as they possibly can, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that we really do appreciate the work you do. We do recognize that you are going above and beyond. And we really hope we get to a point where we are full complement and everyone can concentrate on what they need, what they're supposed to be concentrating on, and we can really move the town forward in a really productive way. But we really appreciate you holding the line until then. I will say we also, Board of Health, they did speak about masks again, and they had pretty much held the same opinion that they had with our meeting, which was just that the data really at that point hadn't really shown that there was a need to institute a town-wide mask mandate as they have in the past. They do continue to do the recommendation, follow the CDC recommendations. And I know that the chair, Kathy McMillan, was going to reevaluate a couple weeks after school had started to see if there's any spikes. They are prepared to call public meetings, to call a meeting if needed, if the numbers do start to go up. But they were also extremely impressed with the vaccination rates of both the town as a whole and also of the youth of the age of the 12 to 17. So they were very impressed with that. And I think that's all I'm going to say for tonight.
Armand.
First of all, Greg, I'd like to commend you on putting those banners in Town Hall. It looks really pretty, and the police station too. Looks nice. I think they're getting ready for the parade. It's going to look very nice.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and in line with that, I reached out and I forwarded that email to Greg. I reached out to Epsilon because that white building across the way has overgrown weeds all over the place and it doesn't look pretty. And they promised that they're going to get that cleaned up before the 19th, so that it looks nice and clean around there too. That is because it is an eyesore right now. The benches at Memorial, the new benches look really nice at the Memorial Park. Justin, very, very nice. people are leaving trash next to it, but they look very nice. So that's fine. The one thing that I want to mention is that speaking about the goals that we have for us in regards to Naylor Court, I put together a working group, and I see Linda still online, and Linda's part of that group. We have a few business owners putting our heads together, brainstorm some ideas about what could we do at Naylor Court from a temporary standpoint for now. And we're hoping that starting in spring of next year, we could move farmers market to Naylor Court, add to it maybe some arts and entertainment. And we got some wheels in motion. In fact, tomorrow I'm addressing the Cultural Council. I'm going to be speaking to them, and they're on board about helping us out what we could do at Naylor Court. So hoping, we could get something happening there for now on a temporary basis to get that going, but bringing in some, obviously food and entertainment, and the farmers market will be a nice thing to have in Naylor Court. So we're trying to get something going on that end. So I'll keep you posted on what's happening. I'm sure you'll hear more about it. But we got some dedicated business owners that are willing to help out in enhancing the downtown area, and that includes in Naylor Court.
Very good. And that leaves me. So again, just echoing what everyone else has said, highly appreciative of all the town staff responding both to the shootings a few weeks ago and to the explosion and all the follow-up work that people don't see. So, I'll add my sentiments to everyone else's. I only have two things. I was able to attend a Centennial event, which was the Duck Pluck, which was the reimagination of the duck race. And I know Jen, who was on earlier, put a lot of effort into that, and very unfortunate to see it have to be pulled due to the hurricane that was threatening to come through. But the event that they did held in this place was a lot of fun. They did the ice cream flavor at Erickson's. They had a band going, they combined it with the Relay for Life. So I think it was a really nice little community gathering that they were able to put. And able to make some lemonade out of the lemons that was the storm that ruined their chance to actually do it in the river. The other comment I wanted to make was there's a number of topics we've been discussing at the charter review, but David alluded to one earlier that I just wanted to bring up, and just around the procedures for putting an amendment on to town meeting. And as of right now, any multi-member body or town officer, including the ones who report up to us, can put an amendment onto the town meeting charter without our approval or say so. So if Justin wants to go rogue and suggest something, he can do that. And I was interested to learn that even for the tree committee could, for instance, or the cultural council, do that over our objections if they wanted to put it out to the public. So and they wanted to keep that language in the way it was. And so I just wanted to make sure that understanding was there, and that will be coming to us at some point, although there's still a lot left to discuss. There are a couple of other topics, nothing quite as relevant to the select board directly, but talking about if there is a vacancy in an appointment and an election, to fill that when those individuals would take the office versus the appointment, and a couple other changes and clarifications, but those we can, I think, review once they're all set and ready to go, which again, I think will take some time since there is a lot of detail that we are going through. So that concludes my update, and I'll turn it back over to David if you want to close the meeting.
Well, you can certainly ask for a motion.
Oh, I'll ask for a motion to close then.
Move to approve, move to close, adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Secondly,
All in favor?
yes.
Aye, yes.
Good night, everybody.
Have a great
Sorry, I
night.
lost power on my computer, so.
Well,
Good night.
have a great night, everybody.